Hello, Internet, and welcome to Ship of the Week, a show where I take your suggestions and try to build them in under an hour. I'll take viewer ideas for ships, vehicles, or other machines, and when the timer starts, I have just 1 hour to design and build something that fits whatever specifications are set out for me. If I can't finish or the ship doesn't work as intended, it gets scuttled. Ships that do work will be published to the workshop for all to enjoy. Time to hop in and find out what we'll be doing this week in Ship of the Week. So this week, we're going to be trying our hand at something I've tried personally a couple times and never quite been satisfied with. And that is a modular ship. So, this was suggested by Patty Wunder, or Patty Wunder if you pronounce it without the W being right. But essentially, the idea is it's a ship, or I guess parts of a ship, that you can stick together, move around, and sort of change out sections of for different needs. So, something I've tried several times is to create a modular ship modeled after a towboat, a river towboat, which in the United States is a boat, sort of a weirdly shaped boat, designed to go up and down the rivers and inland waterways, and it basically has a bunch of barges tied to the front of it. And it just kind of goes along pushing those barges around, and that's how river traffic, or river cargo, gets transported. I've always thought that would be a cool idea to do in Space Engineers. Not because there are rivers in Space Engineers, but as a sort of space variant, because it's a modular design. Essentially, you have a big powerhouse with a cockpit, and then the rest of the ship is, removable. You can have it carry cargo or fuel or any number of things. So, that's what we're going to try today. Alright, so 1 hour on the clock, away we go. Now, the challenge with this is I kind of have to build two things. I need to have the actual sort of motive power ship part of it, and I need the barge, the thing that is going to move around that is modular. Now I'm probably not going to design design a whole bunch of modules. I think I'm going to design a template for a module that can be used longer term, but the idea is it needs to be able to stack a couple, it needs to be something that can be reusable. I think I may actually build the module first. Because if I do that, I can actually build the ship off of one of the modules, making the actual kind of motive power a module. And that'll help everything kind of fit in, I think. Is that... okay, my math is slightly off. My theory here, I want something, so if I were to make just a generic cargo module, it can have 6 large cargo containers, so 3 along this side and then 3 along this side. Just that seems like a good size, gives a lot of room for whatever you may need. It's a good number, so like for the cargo module, that's plenty of cargo. It's enough to make sense for transporting. And cargo containers are a good option because a large hydrogen tank is the same footprint. So, if we have this sort of frame, maybe what we do... So, I think this is a pretty good sort of skeleton for one of these modules. And I say that, what I may do If I kind of get rid of that. Where are tubes? There you are. So if I have the tubes running along there, and I may cover this on the outside, I can have in these little cutouts, I could have cargo, I could have fuel, I can do whatever. And for things like, say, a living module, I could fill these in with, plates or glass or whatever. And there's plenty of room in here to build out living quarters. That's part of the idea of a modular ship, is everything is a module to be used for different needs. So, let's copy this and put one over there, because this one is going to be the sort of engine motive power module. So, I think how I'm going to do that, kind of going off cues from the dropship design I did. And I maybe should have done this. The opposite way. Or maybe this is the top. I don't know. I think this is the top. This is the bottom. So we'll cover these up. Within this framework, I can build a ship. I think maybe the first thing to do is figure out how I want thrusters. I'm kind of thinking 2 nacelles. Maybe that stick out. Those blocks are just for placing, but yeah. So the engine's there. Can have sideways thrust. Can have down thrust. I cannot easily have lifting thrust. So maybe we do this differently. So that's a relatively basic pod. Kind of sticks out in the frames. That could work fairly well. It's got a good amount of thrust. So my thought is to cover over those in a way that makes them look semi-compelling. Then on the inside, I've actually got a lot of room in this that I don't necessarily need. I could maybe have an sort of internal living area for the ship crew in here. We have the spine for connecting to the other modules. So I want modules to be able to go on the front and back of this thing. And I guess at the moment, front and back are ambiguous because it's the same both ways. But there will be a front, which will probably be over here. So maybe I have walking space. Maybe I keep it even, so right in the middle here. We'll do not one of those.
Energy low.
Actually, if I do want a beam, I'll be able to place one of these T-junctions. If I were to do it on these half blocks, you'd be able to see the pipe, and I want to at least be able to, I may leave them open, but I want the option to close them. So let's put you back. We have this T-junction, which I then... Maybe I just put a conveyor block here. Because with that, I can start building some of the things I'll want. So maybe an oxygen tank, O2H2 generator, is there anything else I want piped? Ooh. I think I'll have some reactors. Wish there were a way to do it where the text were not sideways, but that's just something we're gonna have to deal with. So reactors there. I kind of like being able to access the... Maybe I flip this and the tank. So there. That there. And then, on each side of the tank, I can put some gyros. And I'm going to want a couple because the idea of this, making it sort of a towboat style, all the power and motion comes from this unit. So whatever things are attached, this has to be able to move them. So I want this thing to be way overpowered for what it is, so that it can better power the things when they're going. Just while I'm back here, I want these so that I can have an airlock. Put a panel up there. I might change that out for a light later, but so this will be out the back. Part of my idea is I want a walkable path between modules. So each module will have a connector in that position, and then it'll have a flat wall out here with yeah, maybe here and here, 2 merge blocks. So that way, with the modules, it's easy to connect them. The modules won't be sort of imparting undue forces on this. It'll all kind of handle as one ship. And the idea is it is all one ship. You can just change out parts, so I think it works. So that's that end. Maybe we'll build it on this end too. This one is going to be slightly different because I have enough room to make a double airlock here. I could put some windows in. Kind of tempted to put windows in the front here. I may be able to do them in the back as well, but it'll just be something nice. Now, a downside here, should check before I verify, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. I'd love to be able to put, like, catwalk railings. The issue is, because I am using merge blocks to actually merge them into one thing, I have to make sure the only blocks connecting modules are merge blocks. Or blocks like a connector where there's no connection on this side. Unfortunately, none of the flat blocks have that way where there's no connection. I could try and use some of these half ones, but that's not really going to work. So, unfortunately, you're going to have to kind of balance yourself along on a connector. Which isn't super ideal, but, you know, it'll work. And depending on the situation, you may not be walking between modules. I kind of want it as an option, but it's not like I'm going to have an airtight passageway through for them either. Though I guess I could. Because if I were to, just as an example, I'd have to remove the connector and do like that. But that butting up against something would create an airtight seal that you could walk through. That is still disconnectable. The only downside with that is, one, these are prone to exploding a little bit when you connect if you aren't perfectly flat and even. They can cause other issues, and it means I wouldn't have a connector in a convenient spot. I'd have to run a second little line down the bottom, which wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but I do kind of like the convenience of keeping it all connected. So we'll go with this. It's not necessarily like you'd need, I mean, talking in the realisticness of space engineers, you don't need an airtight passageway because you're always in a spacesuit. So it can be kind of nice to share pressure, but I think it's more reasonable to just have if you have like a habitation module that you're moving along, it has its own, you know, a vent in it so that you can pressurize it off of this system, but it's doing it on its own. Maybe we create just a little partition, so you've got back here is the engineering section, with paths through to out the other end. Up front here will be the sort of habitation living section, where you habitate and live. I think I'll make these walls into windows just because it'll look nice. And I did intentionally do the there we go. Intentionally do the half slabs the way I did. One, so that when I do an interior, I can actually put stuff on walls. But two, I did like the idea of being able to do these style of windows with the half walls, because they just kind of, I don't know, they look more right for especially a utility ship than the big old panes of open glass. Vent on there. So that'll be the vent to pressurize in here. And actually, I can go ahead. So if I open up that, let's go ahead and toy with our options. So I could have a ladder that goes up to the upper pilot house, or I could have stairs. I feel like this ship warrants ladders. I could actually do it with these. Yeah, we'll do like so. So you climb up. I may have one of the sort of small area airlocks right there. And then up here on this side, this will be the actual exit. Yeah, I think that'll work. The bridge will be fairly simple. In fact, maybe I make it kind of unique. Do I want unique? No, I think I like this slope for the front, but I think we'll do slightly different on the sides. I want this to be fairly small and narrow up here. Mainly just to not detract so much from what's going on everywhere else. I think if I make the upper area too large, it makes the whole thing feel like it should be, you know, much larger than it is. So that's sort of the shape I've got. Which is a little... but I think it works alright. It's like a little head. Visibility is also quite bad, but I mean, I don't know. You'll see it forward, that's all you need to see. So, I think the next step is figure out a bit of interior. We've got our ladder that goes up to the bridge. Maybe over in this area. Bit of a sort of dining, living area. Maybe a couch. Maybe a couple couches. Yeah, so sort of dining, living, and then guess we could blow out this forward wall. That'll give us a sort of bathroom area. Could even do like this and have a door. Yeah, that sort of works. We still have that window for this person. You can sort of see through, which I don't always love of these, but, you know, it sort of works. Should be plenty of room to have, like, lighting stuff. Maybe I make back here. Some equipment lockers. Alrighty. So, I just kind of went ahead and finished this. So outside, we have our sort of conning tower. I went ahead and moved the thrusters back a bit, which... still not super happy with how these came about. Do I have a better option? It's a little bit of something at least. And I could maybe do similar up here. danger is I am running somewhat out of time. Right, so I'd want to use one of those. And there. And that. Yeah, it's what we got. We'll go with it. Maybe I just do this on the top to, help break it up a bit. Yeah, that works, and then I think I'll do... the bottom treatment down here. That should be good enough. That's kind of the general shape. These windows are now kind of more exposed, which is neat. Inside, we've got light. Got some seating. Got some living quarters. Then you can go around back. You've got all of the industrial stuff. I could fit more detail back here, but I don't think I'm going to. That could be for individual operators to fit out as they see fit. That is the sort of tow motive power part. Now, real quick, I need to do what I need to do to make the cargo part correct. My plan for that... yeah. Have a hole on each end. And I think... maybe we use these style. So... if I cut that there and use a conveyor junction... same with here... I can actually... run that up like so. Maybe I leave that. Run that up like so. And realize I actually need this piece here because I need something to connect to the middle containers. But that is now 6 cargo containers held comfortably within the sort of framework. In truth, I actually could have narrowed this. I have 12 minutes. Do I want to try and narrow this ship in 12 minutes? Ooh. Here, let's make a copy of this. Just see, would it actually look any sort of good? Yes, it would. Oh boy. Okay. Could be setting myself up for failure. I'm thinking this is going to be a gray looking ship. Let's just real quick get these modules set up. I'll have to shrink in the merge blocks. So this works. It's a viable sort of cargo option. May make, for the sake of symmetry, we'll have 4 batteries on there, mainly just because I don't actually think I need batteries, because these would connect and then once the merge blocks merge, this would have power. I don't even know if I need power on both ends anymore for those. But let's take this. I can just kind of do like so. And paste the sides back on. I'll have to do a little bit of love on the interior, I think, because that's going to have confused a whole lot of it, but like that, for example. So no more little side corners. We will just have shower, toilet, door for that. That part is fine. That part isn't. We'll just have a little privacy barrier. So you come in, go and get that. Open area. You've got your kitchen. The other thing is in this, there. So kitchen, drink machine, sofa. This can become a equipment locker. And then lights. There's no room for lights over there anymore. So lights, light up there. Walk forward. We need those. Do those just for looks. Nope. Okay. That was a bold last-minute decision, but honestly, I think the size of it does look a bit better now. We can get rid of the wide one, get rid of that. We have this module. Last thing is I really need to try and remember to put antennas on these things. Not that they're critically important, but they do help, and they're probably a smart thing to remember. Yeah. I think I'll leave those open, just because it gives a little bit of detail. Okay. I think the 2 bits, I've got to move way out to see them. But I think that's where we're good. We have 4 minutes and 51 seconds left. I kind of made it frantic at the end, trying to make them smaller, but I think I hope I've succeeded. If not, this is going to be a real awkward test when I put them together and they don't fit. So, yeah, with that, I guess I'll go ahead and engage in the testing that needs to be done. Okay. So, we have before us the PD Wonder Space Towboat. So, traditionally, these boats tend to be named after a captain or something else, and it'll be like a initial last name. Like J.W. Bergmeister is probably the name of a towboat. So I figured fitting to put the person who suggested it as the name because I couldn't think of anything else. But, feel free to name it after yourself if you download and use this design. Or don't. You can do what you want. So, we have our barge up here. It's just kind of floating there. We have the towboat here. It's the first step. Is to clamber on board, climb up to the bridge, and see if we can move. Okay. Again, visibility, not the best, but most of the time you'll probably be flying in third person anyway, and we'll just imagine it's like complex, calculated reality camera sensors. I don't know. Okay.
Ship fuel low.
Ship fuel's low because we didn't put any uranium in the reactors, but that's fine for our testing. We can move.
Low.
We can turn without much issue. I may, whoops. Oh no, I've climbed up the ladder. The downside is there is no gravity on this. I probably should have put gravity on it, but I didn't. Which means using the ladder is a bit of a, logistical challenge. Okay. So let's just go ahead and spawn 100 uranium into there. And there we go. So that should give us plenty of fuel. Clamber up here. Okay. So we can move. We can move pretty quickly, which is good. Now the test will be, can we connect to this module? Now this is often the challenge I've faced with this type of ship design. When the module is just kind of free floating like it is, with no thrusters of its own, and in my mind that's how it should be, because if you put thrusters on it, why not just make it a ship? But the issue I have is that because of the magnetism of all the various magnetizing bits, if you don't line up very well, it can cause the thing you're trying to connect to just kind of wibble off, and because it doesn't have any way to hold its own position, it will sort of over-magnetize, fliff? I don't know what that means. Basically it just starts floating off, and it's a real pain to connect to. So let's see what we can do. Ideally, the magnetism just draws them into each other. But as you can see, it sort of did, and then they started drifting apart. Oh, come on, you. Haha, there we go. So, it can be a bit of a trick, but now we have a module attached on. It doesn't cause weird torquing. We can see it out the front, which is perfect. That's why our cockpit is up as high as it is. and we can still move. So we're now able to take this module wherever we may want it. Yeah, I mean, that looks like a proper deal. If we were to... And I should have made a copy of this before I connected to it. Let's just... get rid of you. Repaste that so it stops moving. So this is the simplicity with which you can modify this design. If I want now a fuel cargo thing, I now have one. If I flit down here, actually I can use this back door. So, if I go forward, I should be able to connect this one onto the back of my ship, or I could connect it onto the front of the container that's already there. I'll do the back just to verify that they all kind of work, but in theory, if it can connect to me, everything can connect to everything, which is what you want. Now, in real life, towboats will often have, like 2 or 3 barges side by side, which I've not really set this up to do. You could do that fairly easily by just having, essentially where I have the batteries on the existing barge, stick some merge blocks on those, and then a connector, and then boom, you can go anywhere. But I didn't do that. This reversing into it's a little bit more tricky. Okay. There we go. So, we have a modular ship. It can carry these things, it can all connect. In theory, I could have a second towboat, the sort of power section, and stick it on, you know, the back of one of these, and then it's got even more power to move. You could also do utility things, like I could make a barge that has a bunch of drills on the front or a bunch of grinders, and then you can use it for utility work. So that's kind of the idea. And I think, with it all connected up like this, I can officially decree this ship a success. Now, I'm not 100% on if I like it visually. I don't think it looks bad, but it does look a little silly. I think my biggest issue with trying to build these in the past is just that while they look like they'd be cool, in reality, most of the time there's not a ton of reason, or at least I've not found there to be a ton of reason to design a ship like this, because most of the time you just want one ship and you don't want to have somewhere to park all the extra modules, so you just slap a whole bunch of stuff together, and, you know, it's so easy to build stuff on and grind stuff off in Space Engineers. I've never found in survival gameplay a particular value in modularity. But it's a fun thing to explore, and, you know, I could very much see this style of ship in, like, you know, if this were a populated world, this being a type of thing that would be flying around, because it could transport a lot of cargo relatively simply, and you know, it's versatile enough. You could drop off a cargo load, pick up a different type of thing, and go off somewhere else. So yeah, This will be on the workshop, available for anyone to check out. I'll probably have to I'll have to upload it in separate pieces for the different modules and the main body, but I'll figure that out. It'll probably all make sense. At the very least, there'll be a bunch of links. So, thank you everybody so much for watching. Feel free to check out any other stuff I've done, and until next week, bye bye.